Hello and welcome to Tim's BMW Repairs and Information. Well, this is an update to a video I did probably in March, and it's about modifying the rear boxes on the 6 Series and the E31 and E32 and so on to let the raspy sound out by drilling a hole in this part of the exhaust here through the tailpipe. So you use a really long drill, goes all the way through, get a hole through here, and then that brings out the sound from the engine rather than it going through all the baffles and so on. Well, as I said, I've done that quite a while ago, and I got a couple of comments saying you can't do it to the left-hand rear box because it's designed differently and you're going to always pop through the edge of the box rather than just going through the pipe. Now, as I said in the video when I did this, that I managed to do the right one, but the left one, that went straight through the back of the box, and I had to fit a nut and a bolt in there and a big washer, and it's quite fiddly. So from these pair of comments, we can sort of deduce that the left-hand box probably is different on the E63 and E64. For what reason, I've no idea at all. The earlier exhaust systems, E31, E32, E38 and all the rest of them, were exactly the same left to right. But all the same, the fact that I managed to drill all the way through the exhaust system and pop out in the outside world pretty much proves that the left-hand side rear box is different. And if you attempt to do that, you may well pop into the real world. But what I would say is I still love this modification. It makes such a difference to the sound of the car. It really does bring the sound alive because it's a really nice raspy sound. So I still think the mod is worth doing, but only on the right hand side and not on the left hand side. Now I know this trick works on E31s and E38s, but on the E64, right hand side only, don't do the left hand side. So you can do this one I'm working on here, but not the left hand side. It will only end in tears. But thanks very much for the comments. That's what I like about the community, BMW community. We do let each other know when something's gone wrong, and doing the left-hand rear box does go wrong. Anyway, let's get on with the video. Hello and welcome to Tim's BMW Repairs and Information. Well, I've got a little job for you that someone asked because I said I get a great sound out of my 6 Series exhaust with a simple modification, and I'm going to show you how to do it. Now, this is a complete bodge, but it works if you're careful. And all you need is a long drill. Yep, a very long drill, 600 millimeters. Now, this is what I made up. I had a masonry drill and I can't remember quite what that's off, probably some sort of floor sweeper or something. And I cut a slot in it, put a duplicate round, so I tightened that up and that'll stop the drill falling out. And also what I did is I put a sharp edge on the drill with a grinding stone. I probably did that with a whetstone, so we use whetstones for everything these days. Anyway, using this, we can get a great sound out of the 6 Series exhaust, and it works for quite a few different models as well. Now, the reason that it works is because of the rear boxes are just there to reduce the noise of the exhaust. And they use quite a complicated tubing system. The sort of exhaust comes in one end, goes round into a loop. It's difficult to remember exactly how it does it, but it has a centre section and 2 empty chambers, one at the back, one at the front. And as I say, the pipe goes in, and as far as I remember, goes through to the centre section. So it loops right round to the centre section, and the centre section has got baffles inside it. And what it does is just baffles the exhaust before it goes round to the second loop, which, there's a third loop. It goes round and over the perforated part, and then has another pipe that goes from the centre section out to the exhaust pipe. Now, that works very effectively for stopping any exhaust note actually coming out. It's sort of tuned, so it's sort of subdued, but still a bit of noise there. But it's an easy modification, and I've seen this done, not the same method, but I've seen this done before, where people take the skin off from an exhaust system and just get rid of the internal pipework, and then it's effectively a straight through exhaust. But this method doesn't involve taking the skin off the exhaust. It doesn't involve taking the exhaust off at all. You can keep the exhaust in place. And so what we do is we use this extremely long drill, and we just go in at the exhaust pipe and we drill through the loop of pipe that goes round inside the exhaust. And what we do is we pop a hole through it so it is now connected directly to the rear open chamber of the rear box. And that, of course, picks up the noise from the exhaust rather than the one which goes all the way round through the baffles. And it makes quite a difference. But I will warn you, it takes a bit of fiddling, and everything feels wrong as you do it because the drill's rattling around in there and you've got to keep hold of the drill carefully. And if you are over enthusiastic, you can actually go through the pipe and then actually through the exhaust itself to the outside weld. And that's what I did on the left-hand side of my car. And then it was a bit of a job, to be honest, to block up that hole. And what I did is I used a whole load of extensions with a hex bit on the end, and I used a hex bolt on the end of the extension and just sort of poked it through the exhaust until it popped out the outside of the exhaust, and I put a nut on it. It was damn fiddly to do it. So I've ended up with one exhaust which is a bit louder than the other, but the sort of modification I did to the one where it popped all the way through seems to have made a difference anyway. I'm not quite sure why, probably where the exhaust is actually torn a bit inside, the piping's probably torn. So, fair warning, you can make a bit of a pig's ear of this one, but it does work. And let's face it, you've got a bit of time on your hands, you might as well try something. And yeah, this works. Now, instead of using this extension and the masonry drill, you can actually get 600mm drills on eBay, and probably Amazon as well. And I'll try and find one and put a link down below. Important thing is to put an edge on the drill because, of course, masonry drills are pretty blunt, but they have a carbide end which can be sharpened, and you need a sharp edge to get through the exhaust. So there's the plan. I'll sort of mimic doing it if you like to show you what the plan is, but it's very important to get a tape measure and to measure exactly how far you go before you actually pop out the end of the exhaust. And then what you can do is you can mark the drill with a mark round it, so that you know you've got through the curve of the exhaust inside, of the piping inside, and you haven't gone through the wall. It's a bit annoying when you go through the wall. But I must admit, I thought it was going to be impossible to put a bolt in there afterwards, but it only took a couple of goes and got it in, so I was very pleased about that. But no, what I'm very pleased about this modification, because it does let a bit of the V8 noise out of the 6 Series, which is, let's face it, could be anything in there. Could be a straight 4 for all we know. But no, with drilling through the exhaust pipes internal to the rear boxes makes a huge difference. Right, I'll get my drill out and sort of mimic what I did, and also let you know what the exhaust sounds like as well. Yeah, let's get on with it. Yeah, don't be scared. Nothing's going to get hurt, I promise you. Right, excuse the microphone wire. Here we are then. This is all you need for the job. So we've got drill, tape measure, and a ridiculously long drill. Now, it'd be a lot easier with a 600mm bit rather than this one with the Jubilee clip halfway up. Took a lot of messing about to get it like that. But yeah, with a 600mm bit, it would be darn sight easier. So, first thing you do is you measure, and you measure to the curve of the pipe. And there you go, you can feel it just going around the corner of the pipe. It's about 5'10", about 5'10" there. But you've got to be careful, because if you push further, it just goes round the curve of the exhaust. So we get it back. So that really shows what goes on inside one of these. You've got a pipe which carries on forward and then goes round the empty chamber at the front and goes into the baffle. So you can actually push it through until it goes all the way round. It was about 1 metre, goes all the way round into the centre baffles, and the actual exhaust from the engine goes into the empty area, and then is baffled by the rest of the centre section. So that's why this is so long. It's a long pipe that goes all the way round and back through to the centre baffle. So you've got to be careful when measuring to feel the actual curve of the pipe. And it's around about 5'10" on this car. You can feel it there, just you feel it start to scrape round the corner. And so 5'10", you mark that on the drill, which is about here. And that would be the start of the cut. So what the best thing to do is put some tape round here. And it's also wise, which is what I didn't do, is actually put a bit of effort in and measure the distance to the actual face, the front face of the exhaust skin. So you know that if you go on that far, you're going to be popping out the edge of the exhaust. So there you go. That's that's all there is to it, really. And I had quite a bit of trouble doing this, to be honest, especially with this long extension, because it didn't help that I had a Jubilee clip halfway along it. So there you go, we go in and we feel for that bend in the pipe. There we go. And it's best to try and get it not as it right at the start of the curve, but as it goes round. You want to try and get it on the straighter bit as possible. So we have to go in this sort of angle. And that's probably about the best place there. And I could probably push that in, actually through the hole that I made. There we go, that's through the hole. Out again. So yeah, this one was successful. I actually went through the curved pipe and not through the skin of the exhaust. There you go, and it's great for the neighbours again, because it makes an awful racket as you do it, especially with a Jubilee clip halfway up. There you go. And yeah, without the Jubilee clip, it would be a lot easier. I didn't really know you could get 600mm drill bits, but you can. So there you go, that's the long and short of it. You've got nothing else to do, have you? Might as well give it a go. And if everything goes horribly wrong and you end up with a hole like I did, you can always put a nut and bolt in it using a long extension. So there you go. And you must admit, it sounds so much better. So this side sounds a lot better than the left-hand side, which of course has got the bolt in it and stopped half the exhaust getting through to the pipe itself, and still has to go through the baffle. So this side sounds brilliant, but it doesn't matter if you're behind it. It sounds great anyway. It sounds so much better than the standard exhaust. And this, of course, will work on a lot of exhaust systems because the BMW system with their rear boxes is always the same. They have a pipe that goes in, goes round into a baffle, and then you have another pipe that goes from the exhaust tip itself round and into the other side of the baffle, and then there's a pipe that joins the two together. So there's a lot of baffling going in there, and this effectively straight pipes it, but only through a small hole, a sort of 12mm hole. So you don't end up with an awful noise, but it sounds very sort of raspy. So it's a lovely sound, and all for the sake of a drill bit and a bit of messing about. Go on, give it a go, you know you want to. Right, there we go then. That's a strange little modification, isn't it? I don't know why I did it. I just thought of it a couple of years ago and I thought, well, it should make a difference, and it did. And I was really pleased with that. Really pleased with it indeed, because it's quite expensive to have the rear boxes changed. And of course, doing this modification means the car looks absolutely standard. The exhaust pipes are still exactly the same. You don't have any aftermarket stuff sticking out the back end. And it makes it sound so much better, so much raspier, especially when you've got your foot down on the throttle. And you can hear it a bit from the cabin, but it's much more noticeable from outside when you pass other vehicles, which is what you should be doing in the 6 Series. Yeah, so simple mod, 600mm drill would have been a lot easier because that Jubilee clip clattering around did make it a lot harder. And you'll notice in the video as well, especially because it's a cold day today, I get quite a lot of steam from the exhaust. And if you watch carefully, the right hand side ejects the steam a lot quicker than the left hand. And the air is moving a lot quicker, and that's what gives it the raspier sound. And when I had a quick look back at the videos, I thought, yeah, this is worth mentioning, that a quick way to check if you've got oil or steam coming out of the exhaust is to use a mobile phone. And what you do is you just have the car ticking over, move a mobile phone to within 2 inches of the exhaust pipe, right in line with it. And of course, the lens is going to steam up. Now, if you move the mobile phone out of the way and the lens clears immediately, it will steam. And if it doesn't clear, then it's oil. And of course, oil will affect the lens, make it look a bit out of focus. So a very quick way to check if you've got oil or steam, use a mobile phone. Anyway, I mean, that's it for today. I'm carrying on doing the alloy wheel video, but these things take a bit of time. So I thought I'd just do this quick video, very little editing. And there you go. And thanks very much for the comments on the previous videos. I'm always glad to see the comments, and I'll be happy to reply to them as soon as I can. So thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you next time.